Welcome everyone to the Introduction to Ionized Water webinar series. In the next 12 weeks, I hope that you will be in shock and awe over all the things that you learn. I hope that you walk away with this feeling like all these Monday nights were worth it. And just a little message that in addition to being able to watch live on Monday nights, as soon as this webinar and the next one that I'm teaching right afterwards is over, I will download them from the cloud, get them converted, and send you an email that has a link that you can watch the video as many times as you want during the week, and then it'll be the new one will be available the following week. So again, welcome. I am Dr. Peggy Parker. I am a naturopathic and European biological medicine physician. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about how all of this came into play with ionized water over the course of the evening. In my European biological medicine course, we learned that all of these disease processes had a few things in common. And I know that when you go to the doctor and you fill out forms, you always have to check all the boxes of things that are family history items. And so when your doc looks at that, they say things like, well, that means you're predisposed to having this particular illness. But what I want you to understand tonight and through the course of the next 12 weeks is that your DNA is not your destiny. No matter what they say your DNA is your destiny, but I'm going to show you what I learned in biological medicine and how that relates to ionized water. What I learned in biological medicine was that if you can create a slight shift in the pH of the blood, the urine, and the saliva, and if you could reduce oxidation on the cell membrane, and if you could get more minerals into your cells, a body could heal itself of virtually anything. And so this just goes to prove that your DNA is truly not your destiny. So no matter what you see on this chart that applies to you right now or applies to someone in your family's health history, all is not lost. So I know that a few years ago, you probably remember some things that Angelina Jolie did because she had a certain marker. She had a radical mastectomy, and then later she had all of her female organs removed in order to avoid getting cancer. But there's a better way. This is not going to guarantee that you never have any illnesses. It's not going to guarantee anything, but I'm going to tell you it gives you the best possible chance of healing your own body, because our bodies were made to do just that. They were made to heal themselves. And so I'm going to, over the next 12 weeks, help you understand how you activate your body's own healing mechanism in ways that I never thought were possible. I'm going to show you that if you can create this shift in the blood, urine, and saliva, I'm going to show you how to reduce oxidation on the cell membranes, how to get more minerals into the cells so that your body, the bodies of your friends and family could literally heal itself of virtually anything. So I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to start here with Robert, and I'm going to explain my whole story as it relates to my introduction to to ionized water. So this is a copy of a test that I did, and the reason I did this test is that in 2004 I had a medical spa in North Idaho, in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and my office manager embezzled all my money. And when that happened, it triggered something in my body, and I started getting sick. The stress of it was pretty dramatic, and I'm like the Energizer Bunny. I never took a nap. If I took a nap, it made me more tired instead of energized. So I was just going all the time. And when this happened, all of a sudden I started getting tired and I needed to lie down, and I started having nausea, and just these really bad symptoms kept going on and on and on for several weeks. And I made an appointment with my holistic physician, and he's super busy. And so it was like 6 weeks out. And about a week or two before my appointment, I was so ill, and I finally felt this pain in my shoulder blade. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I know what this is. This has something to do with my gallbladder. And I had my daughter take me into the emergency room, and they said, oh my gosh, this is really volatile. You need to have surgery. Come back in the morning, and we're scheduling you for surgery. And on the way into surgery, I was still begging the doctor not to take out my gallbladder. Just put a drain in it to get the stones out and leave my gallbladder. And when they went in to do the surgery laparoscopically, they touched it and it exploded, because the entire organ was gangrenous. And it spread gangrene all over my abdominal cavity. So I was very, very, very sick. And when I came home from the hospital, I was really sick. I really honestly thought I was going to die. I did everything my biological medicine classes and my naturopathic classes had taught me, and I was not getting better. This happened on September 24th, and Thanksgiving came and went, and I was still so sick. I was really often, almost every day, just crawling my way to the bathroom. And Christmas came and went, and I was still sick. And a friend of mine from Seattle, Spokane, in case you don't really know much about Washington, Spokane's across the state from Seattle. And so it's quite a drive, especially when you're sick. And so my friend in Seattle kept telling me about ionized water. But during my biological medicine course, I learned from Dr. Rao, my favorite professor, about ionized water, and he was promoting a machine that's called the Akai machine. And I had bought it back in those days, tested it on my patients, tested it on myself, and I never saw any change in any test results. And none of us liked the taste of the water, so I just gave up on it. So when she started talking to me about this ionizer, I just kept ignoring her and ignoring her and ignoring her. But the weeks were going on and I wasn't getting better. And so I finally decided two things. Number one was that if I wanted her to quit bugging me, I should just go ahead and go and, see what I could find out. And number two, I was desperate. So I was optimistically skeptical, kind of hoping that there might be a miracle, but not really believing there would be. And I got to the meeting in Issaquah, suburb of Seattle, and during this meeting, I drank 4 16-ounce glasses of the water. It was about a 3-hour meeting. And every single symptom I had disappeared and stayed gone for 2 days. So I knew there was something so important about it, but I didn't know what it was. So the next week, I went back and bought a machine and decided to start testing it. So here we are a couple of months later after I purchased the machine, and I have this group started. And I'm testing their blood, urine, and saliva. So here's Bob, and Bob had been a patient of mine for some time, and he was a pretty good patient. He would do whatever I asked him to do, but he was at this plateau and didn't seem to be getting any better. So I want you to notice the most important thing on this is that Bob's physical age at the time was 71, but his biological age was 103. So the relative age of his cells in his body were much older than he was chronologically. So physically, he was 103. And so he was one of the people that I had do this test. And so I'm now going to show you what happened after he'd been drinking this water for only 1 week. His physical age was still 71, but look at his biological age. It went from 103 to 97. And I'm telling you, then all the years that I'd been doing these tests, I never saw more than a 2-year biological age switch in 8 weeks ever. And if we did, we were so happy we would do dances all over the spa, because we were, these people had been in treatment all day long, every day, juice fasting and doing treatments, and we couldn't get a 2-year drop in the biological age, but just drinking the water and not doing any dietary changes, not doing anything else. This is what happened. And I was flabbergasted. I was simply flabbergasted. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. And then one day, months later, the light bulb went off in my brain, and I figured out why that happened. You have to remember that this was back in 2005, before anybody really knew anything about ionized water. We all concentrated so much on the pH that we didn't really understand the magic, the true magic of the water. And it was in that time that I realized this connection. I realized that oxidation was leading to dehydration, and dehydration was leading to inflammation. This explained everything about that test results. I still didn't quite have all the pieces together, but what I knew was that all of these diseases, from my biological medicine study, I knew that all of these diseases had something in common. They all had oxidation or inflammation or dehydration at their core. Now, that was what I had learned at that point. And so that was what I was basing this information on. And I kept thinking I kept testing people and kept testing people, and that biological age, which is connected to oxidation, kept getting younger and younger. And so finally I decided that the ionized water had to be creating some kind of antioxidant action. Now, I didn't know how, I didn't know what was happening, I just knew that it was happening. So I went back and I'm studying all these tests and studying all these tests, and then it came to me. There were antioxidants in that water that were causing this dramatic drop in the biological age of all of these test subjects. Now, again, at that time, there was no way for me to understand it, or no one to corroborate it, because no one understood it at that time. But it became absolutely irrefutable in my mind. This is what was happening. There was some kind of antioxidant magic happening in that water. And so now, so it took me some more months and months and months of studying. And so now we're going to get into the details of how your water ionizer works and how it creates these antioxidants. So we're going to start with this tiny building block of all matter and energy atoms. So here is an oxygen atom, and you can see that it has 8 electrons spinning in orbit around the nucleus of the atom. And in the nucleus of the atom, there are an equal number of protons and neutrons to the electrons that are circling around it, right? So it is a completely stable atom. But here we have fluorine, and fluorine has only 9. It doesn't have paired electrons. It's a really unstable atom. It has only 9. And here is chlorine, and chlorine has 17. Again, it's got that one single unpaired atom, so it is unstable. So both fluorine and chlorine love to mate up with oxygen and become stable. So atoms, every single atom in the known universe, you can find it on a periodic table of elements, is always going to have a name and a little symbol like O for oxygen or Cl for chlorine. And then after that, it's got its atomic number, which just means how many atoms there are, how many electrons there are in that atom. So pretty simple stuff. And atoms are just one of each of every element. So an atom is just a single element. Molecules, on the other hand, are two or more of these atoms that have joined together in a bond to create a new substance, or a clump of the same substance. So over here with hydrogen, H2, that's just two atoms of hydrogen that have bonded together, and so that's just hydrogen gas. But if you look on the right side of your screen, you see a water molecule. You have two hydrogens and an oxygen. So now it has a descriptor of H2O. It's actually hydrogen, oxygen, hydrogen, right? And we give it a little shortcut name of H2O, two hydrogens and an oxygen. So molecules are simply one or more atoms that have bonded together. They can be the same atoms or they can be different atoms, and they create a molecule. And of course, here's our lovely water molecule, and it is HOH or H2O. You can see where in this particular illustration, you've got all of those green electrons circling the oxygen, and then you see how the hydrogen fits in, and it's the hydrogen's electrons are in blue for this illustration, and giving us this whole picture of what a single molecule of water looks like. Now an ion, and I know you've all heard that word, right? An ion is an atom that has lost one or more electrons. So when it comes to ionized water, what happens is that when an ion is created, when a positively charged hydrogen ion is created, it happens when it splits away or it's knocked out of orbit with the rest of its companions over there in the water molecule. And it gives us two separate ions. It gives us a positively charged hydrogen ion because it lost an electron. And it gives us a negatively charged hydroxide ion, which has an extra electron. So I know that seems a little backwards, right? Positive charge means there's no electron, and negative charge means there's an extra electron. Now, let's talk about what happens when water and electricity come together. When water and electricity come together in your machine, it's called electrolysis. And what happens is rather interesting. When water and electricity happen, it creates several things. It creates some ions, some atoms, and some molecules. So let's look at that. So you can look at the top illustration, and we have a water molecule that's come in contact with electricity, and it's split in a way that caused a positively charged hydrogen ion and a negatively charged hydroxyl ion from one molecule of water. But depending on where those little electrons were in orbit, when water comes in contact with electricity, it can split differently, and it can create some oxygen atoms and some hydrogen molecules. So you see here, we have ions, we have atoms, and we have molecules. And it all depends on where the electrons are in orbit when water and electricity come together, and you have the little zzz happen, right? So electrolysis is a little like having water hit with a bolt of lightning. It's very similar to that. And when that happens, you get ions, positively charged and negatively charged ions, and you get atoms. And so in every glass of drinking water that you get from your ionizer, you're going to have some negatively charged ions, and you're going to have some oxygen, and you're going to have some hydrogen. In your water machine has special plates and membranes that are going to separate the positively charged and the negatively charged ions. That's going to separate them. And so in your drinking water, you're only going to have the negatively charged hydroxyl ion, oxygen, and hydrogen gas. Now, here's what you might not have known. The ions create the pH changes in your ionized water. So OH negative, or a hydroxide ion, makes the water alkaline. So the higher the concentration of hydroxide ions, the more alkaline your water is. So when you're measuring your glass of ionized water with a meter and it shows a negative reading, it's because it's measuring the amount of hydroxide ions in it. But a positively charged hydrogen ion creates acidic water. So the higher the positive number on your meter, the more positively charged hydrogen ions there are in the water. So this is important. The ions create the pH changes, okay? But H2, the hydrogen gas, creates the antioxidants. So here's where those magical antioxidants were found. So this is the beginning. So when water passes through an electrical field, when electricity is passing through the water, it breaks up the water molecule, and now we have some hydrogen gas. This is really important because this hydrogen gas acts like a very specific antioxidant in the body. It takes care of some of the worst free radicals in the body, some of the very worst oxidizers in our body. This hydrogen gas will take care of it. But there's another thing that happens. When hydrogen gas comes in contact with platinum, it freely gives up its electrons. This is how a hydrogen fuel cell works. The same thing's happening inside your water ionizer. As that hydrogen gas, however much of it comes in contact with the platinum plates, it freely gives up these electrons. And those electrons will also be found in your glass of water. These free electrons are, in my estimation, the most perfect antioxidant that you can find, and I'll explain why. So what we need to know is that every free radical is simply an atom or a molecule that's missing an electron. And so as we flood our bodies with these free electrons, it can go in and quench any free radical in the body. And as that happens, we begin to see that the oxidizers in the body, all those free radicals begin to get quenched. All that biological aging that is a reflection of how oxidized our bodies have become are reversed using these free electrons. Now, there's so much that you're going to learn about each one of these topics over the next 12 weeks, but I know that generally people have a lot of questions about this, so we're going to move through it kind of quickly. But I do want you to remember this, that that it's the hydrogen gas that creates the antioxidants. And those antioxidants, that hydrogen gas, when it comes in contact with the platinum plates, creates a second kind of antioxidant, a free electron. While the hydrogen gas mitigates the worst free radicals in our bodies, the free electrons can mitigate any free radical in the body. So while this one is specific to certain free radicals, the free electrons are not limited in the scope of what they can do. And so every glass of water that you drink from your ionizer is going to contain, of course, H2O. It's going to contain the negatively charged hydroxyl ion. It's going to contain hydrogen gas, and it's going to contain free electrons. And the more of this that we flood our bodies with, the better, the more tools we give our body to heal itself. So this has been my message for some time now, that by sharing this information with people, with your friends, your relatives, your colleagues, strangers, whoever, people who sit next to you on the airplane or the bus or the train, when we tell them and we share what we know, together we can impact the health of people all around the world, one glass of water at a time. So every week that we go through this process, I'm going to help you begin to break down everything that you learned, all the things that we talked about, into some talking points, into some very simple talking points. And so I really encourage you to write these talking points down, because this is going to help you create a very powerful elevator speech, so that by the end of this course, you are going to be able to answer virtually any question that people have, but you're also going to be able to explain ionized water in a way that's so logical and so sensible and so easy to understand that a fourth grader can get it. So week one, here are talking points. Talking point number one is that all health issues have their root cause in oxidation. So oxidation is caused by free radicals attacking our bodies. And we're going to get into exactly how that happens, exactly how that changes the cells in your body. I believe it's next week, but we're going to get there really soon. So I want you to remember that every health issue, remember that chart with that man, all those things going on, every single one of those have their root cause in oxidation. Whoops. Oxidation leads to dehydration, which leads to inflammation. So oxidation, and you will understand this more as time goes along, oxidation changes cells so that they become dehydrated. And as they become dehydrated, they become inflamed. And the cycle repeats itself over and over and over again. So here is the second talking point. Antioxidants are the key to combating anything. Antioxidants are the key to combating anything. So back when I was in my biological medicine classes and we learned about pH and we learned about oxidation and we learned about getting minerals into cells, I cannot wait to explain all of that to you, but you can't say everything in one night or you'll be overwhelming. So this is so important to understand, that if we can flood our bodies with enough antioxidants, this is the specific and most important tool that our body needs to heal itself. Remember I said our bodies are made to be self-healing machines? You get a cut on your finger and it doesn't last forever, right? In a few hours, a few days, maybe a week if it's really bad, that cut is gone. It doesn't stay cut forever because our bodies know how to heal themselves. But in order to heal themselves, our bodies have to be given specific tools. And antioxidants are the key tool to combating anything. That was all those things on the chart. And the third talking point for this week is that water plus electricity equals antioxidants. So the one thing that I want to challenge you to do is to stop talking about the pH of the water, because that's not where the magic lies. The magic lies in the antioxidants. And over the course of the next few weeks, you'll understand how the pH and the antioxidants are related. But when you stop talking about pH and you start talking about the real magic of this water, people really get it. People really understand it. So I really want to challenge you, and that is your homework assignment for this week, is to stop talking about pH and to start talking about antioxidants. This is where the key lies. This is where the magic in the water happens in our bodies, is the antioxidants. This is also why it's so important for you to have your machine really clean all the time. So next week we're going to talk a little bit about filtration and water and all kinds of interesting things. So over the course of this webinar series, we're going to talk about all kinds of things, from water quality to how cells reproduce to how ionized water and antioxidants affect it, the role of pH. We're going to talk about other competitor units and why they're not the same as Enagics and why the results are not the same. We're going to talk about all kinds of specific things. The one thing I cannot do is answer specific health-related questions. I can only answer general questions because I don't have enough of your health history or any of your test results or any of those kinds of things to be able to give a true educated answer as a physician, and it's actually illegal for me to do that in these kinds of settings. So in order for me not to be wearing an orange jumpsuit, and orange is a great color for me, but don't really look great in jumpsuits, so I'm going to try to avoid that altogether, okay? So let's go back and make sure you've got all the talking points. So week 1 talking points: all health issues have their root cause in oxidation, and we're going to talk over time about how oxidation leads to dehydration and dehydration leads to inflammation. Point 2, antioxidants are the key to combating that anything. You know, when your body could heal itself of anything, that's the key to combating those anythings. And number 3, water plus electricity equals antioxidants, okay? Now, if you'd like to have something to follow along with this, if you get this book, my book, Turning Back the Hands of Time, it really helps you be able to illustrate to your team, your downline, or to prospective clients. It helps you be able to illustrate exactly what you're learning here, how oxidation, inflammation, and dehydration and aging are all connected. So I highly recommend that you get that book. That book has kind of got a lot of the illustrations that we use tonight. And when I decided that what I wanted to do was not have my own team anymore, I was a 6A2-2, and I decided that I could be more helpful and I could help all of you spread that news of water healing properties, how we could enhance our body's own ability to heal itself. I could do that better by teaching classes and by writing books. And so that's what I set out to do, is to help each one of you. So I gave up my position at Enagic so that I could be independent and do what I thought was going to help the most number of people. And so I've written all these books. They're really kind of specific. So the 3 that are all about antioxidants and have a specific audience would be Turning Back the Hands of Time, which I wrote specifically for baby boomers, but it turned out that everybody liked that book the best. It was the most clear explanation of the connection. But if you've got folks that who are definitely robust and like to work out and consider themselves to be healthy, and they try to say to you, well, I don't need that water, I'm healthy. That's where the book, Are You Confused? The Real Story About Oxidation and Antioxidants comes in, because it's really talking to that crowd. And then if you've got people in your life, because as a naturopath, I had a lot of these people who had chronic illnesses and couldn't get to the bottom of their chronic illnesses. And that's why I wrote the book, If Bodies Heal Themselves, Then Why Am I Still Sick? And that one is really helpful for those folks. And then where the pHs come into play in terms of cleaning and cooking, the using ionized water in your kitchen and your home a chemical-free sanctuary are really did a lot of experimentation to figure those out. And I think probably one of the most helpful books that I wrote was Ionized Water Protocols, which really do help you figure out how to use the water, how to use the different pHs of the water, how to drink the water, how to use it for specific health issues. And so if you don't have these books, I highly recommend that you get them, because during the course of this series, we're going to be referring to a lot of things in the book. And if you don't have them, you can get them at amandabobbitt.com. And so now it's time for Q&A. So let's unmute some folks and see what kind of questions we have tonight. Feel free to just ask away.
What's the one I have?
Pardon me?
Oh, Tina and I were talking about the class last week, and I think Tina was, well, what questions you have? And I came up with one and said, what's the top 3 most useful aspects of water that you can think of?
Well, I think you got one of them tonight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it is filled with antioxidants. The second one we're gonna get to later is that when you drink a more alkaline water, it passes through your small intestine, through your stomach and into your small intestine faster. And that creates faster hydration and more immediate hydration. So when you're drinking 9.0 or 9.5 water, 8.5 water, the higher the pH, the faster it moves through the stomach and into the small intestine. And then the other top most useful thing is the strong acid water, because it kills all known microbes within about 30 seconds of contact. And that's very amazing.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Who else has some questions? You don't want to waste your time here. We still have a few minutes.
I am not sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, sounds very weird. I've never done this. I met somebody from Japan that actually had immunocompromised disease. And she mentioned she used the machine for like maybe 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, it was wonderful. And the water stopped working. That's what she said. I'm just telling you what she said. And she just stopped using the water, and because she was not seeing progress. And I was so shocked, because I was like, well, even if you have not seen progress, it doesn't make any sense to go back to drinking just regular tap water. As might as well just keep drinking it. So she gave the machine away and she got rid of it. So I was just like, I don't know about this. I've been drinking the water for 3 months. I love it. I believe in it. I see wonderful results, but this is what her testimony was.
So there are a few reasons why that could happen, and we're going to get into some of them in more detail, but as a brief overview, here are a few reasons that she could have seen that. Number one is that she wasn't cleaning her machine often enough. And so if you have a mineral buildup on the plates in your machine, then that acts like an insulator and it won't let the electricity through. So you're not getting a split up of the water, and so you're not getting much hydrogen gas. And of course the platinum isn't exposed, so you're not getting any free electrons. So that's the number one reason. The number two reason is that she maybe wasn't pre-filtering her water, and there might have been a lot of things in her water that were causing her some health problems. And number three, this one is big, and I've seen it through the years with lots of Enagic reps, distributors, is that they don't pay attention to their diets.
Mm-hmm.
And So water and antioxidants are really key, but right under that is the food that you eat.
Mm-hmm.
Now, then right under that is your state of mind, your ability to manage stress, your ability to breathe, and to have some, find some peaceful place in your life.
Yeah.
So without seeing all of her, and since I don't know what was wrong with her, and I don't know what she was eating, how much water she was drinking, because the amount of water is very crucial. You might not drink very much water at the beginning and see some pretty dramatic results, but that's only going to last for a little while. You have to drink the right amount of water if you want to have continued good results.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I know other people who've done it too. It always frustrates me. Like, you didn't even really give it a good try and then you gave up.
Wow, that's awesome.
Hi, Dr. Peggy.
Hi.
You hear me? I don't know what happened. You can't see, and I was just finished with Amanda Babbitt's training as well. And I was gonna ask you, are you gonna have a recording for this
Yes.
session? Okay, awesome, because her training is from 5:30 to 6:30, so it's kind of like overlapping with yours.
Yes.
I missed that first half hour.
That's okay, because both of us are recording. And
Oh,
so
okay, awesome.
both of us will have our talks available to you to watch by recording. So what I explained at the beginning, so just in case, I know you didn't hear it, in case anyone else missed it, I'm teaching another advanced course immediately following this one. And so when both of them are done, I will download each of them, and then I'll have I'll give you a link and a password to be able to get in and watch it, and you'll be able to watch it as many times as you want during the week.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Got some feedback there.
Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry.
Hello. Did you have a question? Oh, I see Abe there.
Yeah, I'm causing the feedback.
Oh, okay. So just turn your volume off. There's also a chat option for all of you. So during the course of the meeting, of this webinar, if you have a question that you want to get answered, you can type the question in, because sometimes we forget by the end, we forget what questions we had. And so if you do that, if you type in into that group chat, then we'll be able to retrieve it. Whoops, sorry. Somehow I managed to do this every single week.
If anybody needs anything, you need water or anything, give me a signal.
So then you'll be able to type your questions in, and we'll be able to get them answered at the end of during our question and answer period. Okay, Abe, are you able to be on now without feedback?
Yeah, I had to cut off my phone. I had my phone on plus my
And your computer? Yeah. They don't really always like each other being on at the same time. Did you have a specific question that you'd like for me to get answered tonight before we end?
Oh, it's over with? Yeah.
No, we still have a few minutes. We have some questions.
Oh, because I was with Amanda Bobbitt's.
Don't worry, it's all recorded, so you'll be able later tonight, sometime before now and midnight, when these things have been downloaded and the files converted, I will send everybody a link and a password so that you can get in and watch it as many times as you want for the week.
Oh, okay then. That's great. And what time do you start?
We start at 6.
You start at 6. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow. Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. All right then. So it's every Monday. So, okay.
It is every Monday. And so what I recommend is if you're in Amanda's class, it starts at 5:30 to 6:30,
5:30.
and you want to be live in her class, then you can, hop on for the second half of this one so you can get some questions answered live, and then you can listen to it during the week. Or,
Yeah, I was wondering because I do have a question. I was thinking about the that 11 the Kangen water 11.5,
uh-huh.
and if I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw somewhere where you mentioned something about you can drink it and under certain conditions or something.
Well, so let's go back here. Hold on. I'm going to do this the easy way, the faster way, maybe, if it will let me. Oh, Lord. Well, we're just going to have to do it the fast way. I mean, the slow way. So you're going to see some of what you missed when you weren't on because it's going to take me a while to get here. So sorry about this, everyone. It just won't let me out of here to just skip. So here we go. So in these books, you will find out how to use all the different pHs. So if you go to amandabobbitt.com and buy Ionized Water Protocols, it's going to give you all the directions of how to drink the water in a specific way to, just as a regular everyday drinking protocol. And then it has protocols for all different kinds of hair care, skin care, kidney care, liver, the whole, your eyes, your oral health, everything. And the different pHs of the water are really important in those particular, oh, come on here, just in those particular instances. Let's see, looks like we've got some. So what's the water? Okay. So the right amount of water to drink is going to be in that Ionized Water Protocols book. It's very specific about how you drink it and when you drink it, but it does start with drinking half of your body's weight in ounces. So if you weighed 140 pounds, you drink 70 ounces of water. If you weighed 200 pounds, you drink 100 ounces of water. Okay. So another question is, what's a brief answer when someone asks how the water can help with diabetes? So that would be also in that Ionized Water Protocols. But the situation is that if you were tuned in to the beginning of this particular webinar, you would see that that oxidation is what causes diabetes to get started. So in order to address diabetes, we've got to address the oxidation. And how we do that is with the antioxidants that are contained in this, in the particular, that are causing the diabetes. So it's not complicated. So if you just tune in and watch this again, it'll help you get started. Buy that book, Turning Back the Hands of Time, because that's going to help you have the illustration so that as you're going through this, you'll be able to explain it to other people as well. And it doesn't matter, Heather, if it's type 1 or type 2 diabetes, it really makes a huge difference. And yes, it can help people with asthma because asthma has to do with your lungs. So for all of you who are new here, not only am I doing this introduction to ionized water series, I also do some advanced classes. And so when this class is over, I'll be moving into my advanced class. And so once you finish this particular course of study, then you can sign up for those advanced classes as well. And then we get into very specific things, like specifically tonight, we're going to be talking about oral health and how your teeth are connected to your body and how that changes the picture of your health for good or for bad. We talked about the skin, we've talked about the brain, we've talked about eyes. We're going to make it through the entire body. So once you finish this 12-week course, you can jump on and get into the advanced courses as well. Does anyone else have a question? No, I don't sell the books directly. Amanda is my distributor. Anyone else have a question?
I thought I had seen them on another website. That's why I asked.
If you've seen them on my ordering website, there are all the books, but it sends you to Amanda's.
No, I thought I had seen them elsewhere. It was a while back, like 6 months ago.
If
Yeah,
you did, it was people who are selling them illegally.
Oh, oh, okay. Okay. So Amanda's the only one who sells them?
She's the only one who has permission to sell them. Now, she might have sold a large amount to someone who's got them in their water store or in their offices, or, you know, has them available as well. But if you see see people who are pretending to be my distributor, they are not.
Okay.
I've seen these books on Amazon.
Yes, that's through Amanda and me. If it doesn't have my name or Amanda's name on it, then it's a person who has no right to sell them. Which happens, you know, I have to go back through and weed them out one at a time. Anyone else have a question? Well,
Hi, doctor.
yes.
Hi, I'm tuning in from the Middle East.
Yes.
I want to know how it's work if you want to translate this booklet to Arabic. There is a procedure, how it's work.
Yeah, so you'll have to contact me, send me an email. My
Okay.
email is drparkersemail@gmail.com, and we can talk about it. We do
Okay.
have them, I have them translated right now I have a couple of them translated into German, but that's it at the moment.
Okay, I will email you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
You're very welcome. Well, it was wonderful to meet all of you tonight. I love webinars because I get to see your faces when you enable your video. And it's always fun to get to meet people face to face. So I look forward to next week. Tonight, at some point, you will be getting a link tomorrow morning at the latest. You'll be getting a link so that you can watch this over and over again during the week. If you have questions, be sure and write them down. And then when we start next week, you can type them in the box, in a little chat box, and we'll make sure that we get them all answered. Remember to get your talking points down. This is all going to be really helpful. Remember, your homework assignment for the week is stop talking about pH and start talking about antioxidants, okay? And we'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week and keep sharing this water one glass at a time. We're going to change the world. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.